you today. We have a host of information to share with you today. And without further ado, I'm going to get started. I'm going to share my screen. And let me minimize this. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford. I am the Outreach and Marketing Coordinator for the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency. And today we want to talk about maximizing first-time homebuyer opportunities with down payment assistance. A little bit about us. The New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, we provide funding for affordable home ownership and housing opportunities for New Jersey residents. We are a state housing finance agency located in Trenton, New Jersey, and our core goal is to respond to the needs of residents in the state by implementing creative programs and establishing alliances that fund affordable home mortgages and first-time home buyer programs. And our programs are offered through a network of approved lenders. Some statistics. First-time home buyers make up 33% of all home buyers. The largest share of home buyers continues to be between the age group of 25 to 34, which accounts for 54% of all home buyers. 71% of all first-time home buyers were previously renting an apartment or a house. Now, studies show leading barriers why folks aren't able to purchase a home are things such as down payment and closing costs, qualifying for a mortgage, obviously, the amount of debt they might be currently carrying, whether or not their job is secure enough for them to even apply for a mortgage, or if they're even in the position to settle down. And what we're seeing currently in the market and all across the country is there not enough homes for sale. There's not enough inventory. So those are some of the leading barriers. And as this chart shows, supporting the down payment, 68%, qualifying for the mortgage, 53%, the amount of debt you might be currently carrying, 50%, and job security rounds it off at 39%. Expenses that prevent home buyers from being able to save money for down payment. First-time home buyers, 56%, that's student loans, major issue hindering them from being able to save money for down payment. Credit card debt at 34%, car loans comes in at 36%. You got childcare expenses, healthcare costs, and others. Nearly 9 in 10 low-income renters said having money for down payment and closing costs was basically the major obstacle for them when considering buying a home. Middle-income renters at 72% indicated this same challenge. And of these groups, 62% of low-income and 39% of middle-income renters consider having funds as a major obstacle to home ownership. And additionally, 53% of renters cited their inability to afford down payment as the reason why they rent, by far the most frequently cited explanation. And the reason I give these statistics is to let you know that we have a solution for you today to help you with some of these roadblocks to home ownership. Now, really quick, we have two foundational mortgage programs. One is called our first-time home buyer mortgage, and the second one is called our Homebound program mortgage. They're both government-insured 30-year fixed-rate loans, and we have low interest rates that are determined by our agency that we dictate to the lenders what those rates are to be each and every business day by 10 a.m. Currently, the rate for our first-time home buyer is somewhere around 2.75%. And for our Homebound program mortgage, it's about 3.25%. And I'll talk about these two programs a little bit later in the presentation and give you a better understanding what these programs do, the similarities and the differences, and why the interest rates are different. The first-time home buyer program, Here are some of the borrower requirements. Borrower must purchase and occupy primary residence in the state of New Jersey. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over. You must purchase and occupy a residential home in the state of New Jersey. Borrower must qualify and meet the requirements for our first mortgage, which is originated through one of our participating lenders. The borrower must be a first-time home buyer, as defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Again, had ownership interest in the current place that you're renting as your primary residence during the previous 3 years. And qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing. Additionally, borrower must have a FICO score of 620 or greater and meet debt-to-income requirements, which is 40 and 47. We refer to them as the front end and the back end debt-to-income ratios. Borrower must have 2 months monthly reserves of the monthly mortgage payment, and I'll talk about that in detail on another slide. And there are income limits, statewide household limits for the first-time homebuyer program, and I'm going to click on this and show you what those limits are. Statewide limits for the first-time homebuyer program for Essex, Morris, Sussex, Union, Salem, Warren, 1 to 2 in the household, $103,300. That's 1, 2 adults working in the household over the age of 18. The maximum household income is $103,300. For Sussex, it's $106,000. 3 plus in the household, 118 for Warren County. And for Sussex, Morris, Sussex, $121,900 maximum household income for family, 3 plus adults working in the household. And lastly, on this particular slide, borrower may not possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less. Now, Homebound program, Homebound mortgage program. There are a lot of similarities, but there are some distinct differences. Again, the borrower must purchase and occupy a residential home in the state of New Jersey. Borrower must meet and qualify for a mortgage originated through one of our participating lenders. Borrower must be a first-time home buyer, as defined as someone who has not had ownership interest in their primary residence during the previous 3 years. Again, qualified veterans do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another primary residence at closing, meaning that they would have to sell their primary residence prior to closing on their new residence. And the other benefit for the Homeward Bound mortgage program, there are higher debt-to-income ratios compared to the first-time home buyer program, and it is, again, a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. FICO score, the same, 620 or greater, but as you can see at the top of this slide, the maximum debt-to-income ratio is 40 and 50, okay? Whereas the first-time home buyer, the maximum debt-to-income ratio was 40 and 47. So the thought here is that if you do not qualify for the first-time home buyer mortgage because you don't meet the requirements and your debt-to-income ratios are probably a bit higher, then you can possibly qualify for the first-time home buyer mortgage where it has higher debt-to-income ratios. As before, 2 months reserves of the monthly mortgage payment is going to be required. And there are income limits for the Homeward Bound, and I'm going to show you these limits. And as you can see here, for Warren County, $144,620 is the maximum household income limit. Morris, Sussex, Union, The maximum is $148,400,000. Okay. And as before, may not possess enough liquid assets to close the mortgage loan at 80% loan to value or less. The thought is that if you can close a loan at 80% loan to value or less, then you do not need the down payment assistance and our Homeward Bound mortgage program because you have the liquid assets to purchase the home on your own. Now, really quick, I want to talk about another option here, urban targeted areas. And urban targeted areas are designated by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And each and every county has pretty much some type of designated urban targeted areas. Now, buyers of homes and located in the urban targeted areas or qualified veterans, listen carefully, do not need to be first-time home buyers, but must not own another property prior to closing on the new property. So if you are a existing homeowner currently, and you're on this webinar, or you know someone else who's a current homeowner, and they're looking to possibly buy a new home, upgrade or downgrade, whatever the issue might be, they too can take advantage of our down payment assistance and lower interest rate mortgage and purchase a new home, provided that they buy a home in an urban targeted area and they live in this home as their primary residence for the specified time. Also, the benefits of purchasing in an urban targeted area are higher income limits are permitted and higher housing purchase prices are permitted. Now, this link here on this page is what we call our site evaluator. And it's a great tool for someone trying to determine whether or not the potential home that they're looking to purchase is in an urban targeted area. You would simply put the address in the search box here at the top, and it will return the values over to the left, telling you whether or not that property is indeed in an urban targeted area tract. If it is, you can indeed take advantage of these funds if you're an existing home buyer and benefit from the down payment assistance that goes along with that. A great resource for folks, again, who aren't first-time home buyers, but are looking to upgrade or downgrade, from their current property. And all the links in this presentation will be added to the chat and will be emailed to you by Cynthia. Now, urban targeted areas are an untapped market because buyers can purchase in these areas. Again, they do not need to be first-time home buyers, and they can take advantage of the down payment assistance that goes along with that. I'm purposely not talking about the down payment because that's the last thing on my slide. So that's kind of my happy spot in this whole presentation. So I'm trying to get through these so we can get to those slides. Additionally, there are income limits for the urban targeted areas, such as just like all the other programs. So let me click on this so you can see what those limits are. And again, for Warren here at the top, 1 to 2 in the household, $123,960 is the maximum income, and 3+ family household, $144,620. And if you come down a little further, you'll see Essex, Sussex, Union, $127,200,000 maximum household income, and it rounds in there around $148,400 for 3+ household. Now, on this slide, additionally, we have some other resources available. If you are looking for additional down payment resources, downpaymentresources.com is a viable tool to help you find additional funds if you need it for your home purchase. We don't manage the site, we don't own it, but we thought it was a great resource for folks looking for additional funds. Again, this link will be included in the chat and with the email that's being sent with all the information after this presentation. Also, if you need a copy of your credit report, annualcreditreport.com, you can get a free copy once a year from all 3 credit bureaus of your credit report. Now, really quick, this is a snapshot of both programs side by side. A lot of similarities with some differences, as I pointed out. But this gives you the full picture. Minimum credit score for both programs, 620. The first-time homebuyer has a lower income limit, whereas the Homebound has higher income limits. So if you don't qualify for a first-time homebuyer because your income is too high, then you would then apply for the Homeward Bound. Lower debt-to-income ratios for first-time homebuyer, higher debt-to-income ratios for the Homeward Bound. They're both 30-year fixed-rate mortgages, government-insured mortgages. Currently, we don't offer conventional lending, but I'm happy to say within the next two months or so, we will be providing conventional lending, which is opens up a whole new world for additional lending through our agency. The first-time homebuyer program has a lower interest rate, and the Homeward Bound has a higher interest rate. The reason why these interest rates are different is because of the higher income limits and higher debt-to-income ratios. So those basically will offset each other, and that's why you have a higher interest rate with the Homeward Bound opposed to the first-time homebuyer. With both these programs, you are required to complete a HUD-approved credit counseling course in order to be awarded these funds. And upon completing your HUD-approved counseling course, you will receive a certificate. That certificate, I understand, is good for 1 year. A copy of that certificate is submitted with your closing package from the lender to meet that requirement. And the other great thing is that for both of these programs, you can purchase up to a 4-unit property. And as long as you occupy one of those properties as your primary residence, you can take advantage of our lower interest rate mortgage with down payment assistance. But you have to live in that property as your primary residence for the designated period of time. Really quick, the requirements or the documents that you're going to need for qualifying for the mortgage and the down payment assistance: 3 years signed federal tax returns or 3 years transcripts. You're going to need 30 days pay stubs and 2 years W-2s. You're going to need 2 months bank statements, and you're going to need also 2 months monthly reserves, as I stated earlier. And the reserves can be in a personal account. It can be a gift from a loved one, a family member, or it can be provided by way of your 401k statement or pension statement or some other retirement statement. And the funds do not need to be withdrawn. You just need to provide the information to show that you have the funds available in case of an emergency. Also, agency loan proceeds cannot be used to pay down any of your debt in order to secure the mortgage. And borrowers can, in some cases, get cash back if there's an excess of funds at closing, upwards of to $3,000 for funds paid out of pocket, which might include your earnest money deposit, the appraisal fee, the home inspection, pest inspection, and even your home buyer's course. Now, once your file is complete and you met all the underwriting requirements, your lender will submit your file to our agency for review once they clear it to close. The initial review could take up to 5 days, but we don't typically need 5 days if we receive a full, complete file with all conditions met. And in some cases, you can get the same day approval or within hours, so to speak. But typically, it takes about 1 to 2 business days. And we encourage the lenders to submit the file to our agencies 10 days before your anticipated closing date to allow any time for resubmission of loan conditions that might be outstanding. Now, this is my happy portion of the presentation, our down payment assistance program. I like to refer to this as the free money section of the presentation. Our down payment assistance program will provide to qualified home buyers $10,000 to be used towards your down payment and or closing costs. That's a flat $10,000. That $10,000 is what we call a forgivable loan with no payments and no interest rate. The down payment assistance is sub-programmed to be coupled with our first mortgage, either the first-time home buyer mortgage or the Homeward Bound mortgage. And again, our mortgages are government-insured mortgages, either FHA, VA, or USDA mortgages. And as I said earlier, conventional mortgages aren't being accepted as of right now, but very, very soon, within the next couple of months. And the major requirement for this down payment assistance, should you receive it and close on your home, you must reside in this home as your primary residence for 5 years. 5 years without selling it, without refinancing, or obviously without defaulting on the mortgage. If you adhere to those guidelines, the $10,000 is completely forgiven. And again, it's not a grant, it's a forgivable loan. And it's a forgivable loan with no payments and no interest rate for the 5-year period. So all you have to do is stay put in your home, reside in your home, enjoy your home, pay your mortgage. After 5 years, the $10,000 is completely forgiven. In my book, that's free money. Sadly, in the event that you as the borrower decide that you want to refinance or cease to occupy the property as your primary residence before the 5-year term, you are going to be required to pay the $10,000 back in full. Now, I'm happy to say that the program now is available for new construction. It wasn't always the case, but now you can utilize our mortgage and down payment assistance program to purchase a new home that you're going to make as your primary residence here in the state of New Jersey. And also, if you're moving in from New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, you can certainly take advantage of our down payment assistance and low interest rate mortgages, provided that you're going to move to New Jersey and it's going to be your primary residence for 5 years here in the state of New Jersey. You also can use seller concessions with the down payment assistance program. And in most cases, you may not need to bring any additional funds to closing at all. And as I said on the earlier slide, you might even get some money back at closing. Eligible properties must be located again in the state of New Jersey, and it must be a single family home. It can be a condo, townhome, a manufactured home, or a mobile home, but it has to be a mobile home on a fixed foundation. Can't have wheels on it so you can just roll from town to town. Has to be on a fixed foundation. And as I said earlier, you can purchase up to a 4-family dwelling, of which one of those units must be your primary residence for 5 years. So you can buy a 4-family dwelling, live in one, and rent the other other 3 units out. About to wrap up here. Again, HUD-approved counseling is required. You can go to HUD.gov. This link will be included in the information being sent to you. I'm going to click on it really quick to show you what it looks like. You can go to HUD.gov, basically put in your search criteria, and it will return to you HUD-approved counseling agencies. It'll let you know what languages they speak, what counseling services they provide, and you can set up your credit counseling with them. Some of these agencies, the credit counseling is free. Others charge us a small fee, but in any case, in some cases, you can get that fee back at closing as an out-of-pocket expense. And just to wrap up, as I said earlier in my presentation, some of the roadblocks and barriers to why folks aren't able to purchase a home, our agency has provided a solution to those reasons. Our program provides a strategy to help renters and buyers who are faced with the roadblock of lack of resources for down payment and closing costs. Again, that $10,000 is a forgivable loan, and as long as you live in the home after closing for 5 years, it's totally forgiven. And with our programs, you can couple seller concessions with the down payment assistance for even greater buying power. This particular link on this slide here is our road home guide. It is a invaluable resource for anyone in this home buying process. Okay, this is a PDF file that we will give you the link for this that you can download to your desktop, and it walks you through the entire process of buying a home. It takes you through step by step the cost of home ownership, home buying counseling, how to get pre-qualified and pre-approved, how to launch your home search, what to do before making your offer. Great resource. I implore you to download this to your desktop and go through it at your leisure. It has mortgage calculators here to show you how to calculate your mortgage. And also, there's a glossary of terms in the back. So if you come across a term that you're not familiar with and you need some clarification, just flip to the back of the glossary here in alphabetical order and find that term, and it'll give you a clear explanation of what that term is. Now, if you are ready to buy and you need to find a lender or get a lender so you can get pre-qualified, this link here in the middle of the screen here is our lender request form. You can visit this on our website, and basically you can complete a request, and we will reach out to 3 lenders on your behalf with your information and have them contact you and send you that information. You can contact them if you like, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's on our website here. Find a lender. Basically put in your email, your name, all your pertinent information, whether or not you're seeking down payment assistance, what type of meet you would like with the lender, preferred language, and some other information, and we will return to you 3 of our top lenders to help you get pre-qualified and start the process. In the event that you want to reach out to a lender on your own, there is a downloadable, printable list of our participating lenders here at the bottom of this page that you can just click on and download and save to your desktop. In the event that there's someone on the webinar here today that's already pre-qualified and your lender is not an approved lender with us, and you would like to take advantage of our down payment assistance programs, you can simply have your lender contact sflenders@njhmfa.gov, and we can work with them to get them on our approved list and help you to get the resources that you need to purchase your home. That does it for my presentation here. My information is here on the screen. Again, my name is Jesse Crawford. My email address, if you need to reach out to me for any questions or clarification, email is the best way to reach me. You can certainly call me, leave me a voicemail. I promise to get back to you, but email is the best way to reach out to me. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and open it up for any questions.
Thanks, Jesse. I have 2 questions in the chat, if I could read them off. It's stated, I didn't catch this one. It's stated 3,000 towards EMD. What is EMD?
Earnest money deposit.
Thank you. Nancy, if you need more clarification, feel free to unmute. And then for DP, I believe this is, we can use that towards 1 to 4 unit property, right? As long as you live in one of those units, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. That's all the questions I have in the chat. Anyone who has questions for Jesse, feel free to unmute. We're here to help you. Any questions at all?
Don't be shy.
Yes. Yes, I have a question. Hi.
Hi, Susie.
Hi.
My question is, if you already have a pre-approval and then you see a house that you like, but they're asking you for a 10% down payment, can you say no because you belong to a FSS program? I don't know how to fight that.
Well, it's a bit of a competitive market right now for buying homes. You're not required to put down 10%, not for my program. It only requires 3.5%. Now, if it's a conventional loan, you certainly could, the more you put down, the better it is for you in terms of mortgage insurance and some other things.
Okay.
But you're only required to put 3.5% down for our particular first-time home buyer mortgage.
So, okay, so if I give them 10%, sorry, I'm taking your time. If I put down 10%, can I apply to get money for the closing with your program?
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a little sketchy for you, because if you got more than 10% to put down, you may not need these funds. These funds need, they're going to be applied to, there's going to be a small asset test. So as I said earlier in my presentation, if you can close the loan at 80% loan to value or less, then you're not going to qualify. So it depends on how much money you put down, how much money you have in liquid assets, and other things that they're going to look at. But as I said earlier, you do not need to put down 3.5%. I mean, 10%, only 3.5%.
Oh, yeah, the thing is, the program is another program that is helping me with that money. It's the same program. I got the information from your show today. It's the FSS program, where they save money for you when you are ready to buy a home. It's like an escrow. So I'm technically using the escrow to put a down payment, but now I'm stuck because I don't have money for the closing.
Well, it depends on a number of factors. How much home you qualify to purchase, and you might be able to utilize those funds as for down payment and utilize our funds for your closing costs. But it depends on working with the lender, one of our approved lenders, to see how the loan can be structured.
Okay, thank you.
All right. It may be doable. It may be doable, but you have to talk to one of the lenders, and they take a look at it closely to figure out how to craft your loan.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Excuse me. Gail is asking, I reside in Sussex County. In regards to a rural area, can you please give me more information?
Well, we certainly have funding for you, whether you're in the suburbs or in a rural area. USDA, they have a great program, and it's primary for purchasing homes in rural areas. So they have great programs, and in some cases even better than our programs. But the thing is that you have options. You have a lot of options, particularly when you purchase in a rural area. So and Jessica will come on; she can attest to that. So that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So you can utilize our funds to purchase or USDA.
I have a question. How difficult is it to get one of our in-house lenders approved for the program?
It's not very difficult at all. It takes about a week. They have to basically, they're vetted by our agency. They have to send over some financials and stuff like that. But we get them on the list. We train them on our program to make sure they understand how it's underwritten. And they're good to go. It takes about a week. Thank you for that question.
Yes, good questions. Anyone else have questions for Jesse? If you think of anything else, just throw them in the chat and we can address them later. Or we'll do Q&As again in a little bit and you can unmute and address them then. But thank you, Jesse, appreciate it. I'm going to introduce our next speaker, we have Jessica Padilla Gonzalez. She's an executive director from Housing Partnership NeighborWorks Home Ownership Center. And I'm going to put her information in the chat now. Hi, Jessica. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, we can see and hear. We have your presentation up.
Great. I'm trying to get to the slideshow so we can go from the beginning. Can everybody see it there?
Perfect. Thank you.
So thank you so much for having me. My name is Jessica Padilla Gonzalez. I'm the executive director at the Housing Partnership, and we are your local HUD-approved homeownership center here in Morris County. We serve our typical service area used to be Morris, Sussex, and Warren, but now that we're remote, we serve outside of that region as well. So we are a HUD-approved organization. We were established in 1992, so we've been around for a while now. And we're also a NeighborWorks America Homeownership Center. So there's organizations like us located throughout the entire United States that offer a plethora of different services, ranging from building affordable homes to helping with rehabs and different products. Our offices are located in Dover. They're currently closed to the public, but we do offer remote services. So I know Jesse talked about this in his presentation, so I just want to go ahead and share it again. So the definition of a first-time home buyer, according to HUD, is an individual who's had no ownership in a principal residence during the last 3 years. So if you own the house and sold it more than 3 years ago, you're considered a first-time home buyer. If you are a displaced homeowner, so that means if you are divorced and buying on your own for the first time, HUD qualifies you as a first-time home buyer. And any individual who's never owned a property that's to a permanent foundation. So those are the definitions according to HUD. So some of the services that we offer, and I'm going to give you just, again, this is the quickest presentation I've probably ever done on the services that we offer. But we do a homebuyer education class, so the HUD-approved homebuyer education class. We used to do it in person in English and Spanish, and ever since March of 2020, we have done everything remote. So we offer an online homebuyer education class that you actually do at your own pace. And in that course, what you're going to learn is the whole entire home buying process in digestible nuggets, right? So it is an 8-hour class, but it's broken up into modules. So let's say you're motivated at 8:30 in the morning on a Saturday to learn a little bit. If by 10:30 you're done, you can log off and then jump back on when you have more time. So that's one of the great benefits of being able to do it online at your own pace. The other thing that happens is once you complete our homebuyer education class, we offer financial coaching. So there is a fee to our workshop. It's $99, but at the end, I'll offer everybody a $35 off discount code. So it'll cost you $64 to attend our homebuyer education class. And the $64 also includes 24 months of financial coaching. So once you complete our 8-hour homebuyer education, you actually have access to your own HUD-approved homeownership specialist. So a HUD-approved counselor is not just somebody who has a job, right? They have to take a federal test, of course. He didn't bark throughout Jesse's entire presentation. So I'm sorry, guys. Hold on one second.
The perks of working from home, right?
I love it. It's like literally I was like, this is gonna work well. So our HUD counselors, right? So they're HUD certified, they've studied and they've passed this test. It's not an easy test to pass. So you get somebody who's really dedicated to helping you understand the process, reach your goals. They review your credit, they review your affordability, they help you determine where you are in the process. And then with your coach, you actually set up goals. So you set up an action plan. In the next 3 to 6 months, these are the things I'm going to accomplish, and you both agree on what you think you can accomplish. And then you come back and then we assess where you are. We do pull your credit, but when we pull your credit, we use a software that does not impact your credit score. So our counselors are going to review your credit, they're going to review your FICO score, and they're going to assist you in kind of getting to where you need to be in order to qualify for the best mortgage that's out there. Right. And then they'll be able to answer questions like the one that Susie had. This is my situation. What do you think? How do you think I can work this? There's also access to the special grants and loans. So NJHMFA does work with the 20 banks that work with our organization, and each one of those banks has a special program or discount. But the great thing about this NJHMFA is that you can utilize their funds for closing costs, which there are not a lot of funds out there to help you with closing costs. And the closing costs is what you pay for the attorney, for the title searches, all that other fun stuff that comes after you pay for the down payment. So we would be able to work with you to make sure that you understand what the process looks like, where you are in the process, and really prepare yourself for success as a homeowner. Since 2001, we've probably helped over 2,500 families, and less than 2% of them have gone into foreclosure. So we're really proud of the work that we do, because we work with you to help create those habits, those skills, and that information that you need to be financially successful for you and your family for generations to come, right? So I'm a big proponent, and everybody at our organization believes in homeownership and the value that comes with it, because there's so many studies. Jesse, I appreciated all the stats that you gave, but there's so many studies that also talk about the benefits of homeownership to children, and to generations that follow, right? There's a decrease in engagement in the juvenile detention system. They have better grades in math. They are more likely to purchase homes on their own. So home ownership is not just about financial wealth, it's generational wealth, and it's a long-term impact that you have on the family and the person. So that's why I think we're also passionate about getting this information out there to you guys. So I can hardly see my slide. Can everybody see it? Because I'm like covering it with my.
Yes.
Fine.
Beautiful. So our housing partnership has its own down payment assistance program, right? So we have money that we work on gathering every year, and we have a grant for up to $10,000 that we're able to provide to income eligible households. I have my next slide. I'm going to break down what the income limits are. But this is for families that are purchasing in Morris, Sussex, or Warren County. So hopefully everybody on this call is in this region. The person does have to meet a debt to income ratio. So debt to income ratio is the maximum that you are allowed to pay for your house and your debt. For us, you cannot pay more than 43% of your household income towards your household debt, which is your minimum credit card, student loans, car payments, things of that nature, and your house. And there's a maximum number, and for us, it's 43%. And that, again, you work with the counselor to get where you need to be. So we've had clients that work with us anywhere from 10 months to 18 months before they buy their house. And the reason for that is typically they're working on savings, reducing their debt, and making sure that they are financially secure to go out and start making offers on properties. Some of the other requirements is you do have to take our home buyer education workshop. Again, this is offered online, and there's a fee for $99. We'll give you a discount code at the end. And then you have to complete the financial coaching, because at the financial coaching, we're going to be able to really help you determine if you are ready. If this is where you are in the process, or what other things you need to do before you start applying for your loan or your down payment assistance programs. Our counselors are also very familiar with all the products that are out there. There's actually one on the call right now. So we like to stay informed on what the programs are that are available in the community, so that we make sure that we provide you with the access to those special grants. So I just copied and pasted this from our website. But just to give you guys an idea of what the income limits are, again, they're pretty high. So we go up to 115% of the area median income, and it is based on household size. So a single person can earn up to $81,000 and change and apply for our down payment assistance. So a household of 8 can actually earn $152,000 and qualify. So we're well within the same limits that Jesse's program offers, which is great, because then that means somebody can use our down payment assistance to help with the down payment and then use some of the funds from Jesse's program for closing costs. So it's a great opportunity for somebody. One thing that I did want to mention is when you are buying a property, these days, it's almost impossible to buy something without any money down, right? So it used to be an option, I'm gonna say maybe 10 to 12 years ago, where you could go in and buy something without any money in your pocket. But there are so many expenses associated with buying your first home, right? So you need to pay for your inspections, you have to pay for your homeowner's insurance, and then there are some additional closing costs or maybe some down payment requirements. Like our grant does require you to put 2% of your own funds into the transaction. So that's another thing to stress. So the benefits of working with a HUD-approved agency, right? Not only are we going to provide you with the education on buying the first house, we do it in a way, again, that's accessible, everybody can understand it. And then the other benefit is that once you take the workshop, you actually have like your own personal coach, right? So you sit down with somebody, now it's virtual, it used to be face-to-face, but they help you kind of understand all this stuff that you don't hear on a daily basis, ratios, loan to values, and any of that other fancy talk that sometimes the realtors throw at you when you're in the process of looking for your first home. They're really your coaches, your trusted advisors, and they're there to also keep you accountable, right? So once you set a goal up with the counselors and you go back for your 3 to 6 month follow-up, we kind of pull up your previous action plan and say, okay, where are we? Are we working on this? What was the obstacle? How can we make it work in the future, right? So they're really there to be your accountability coach and make sure that you stay on track for your own future financial goals that you have. The other great thing is the access, right? So like I mentioned, our staff is pretty amazing at staying informed and on top of what are the programs that are out there and how they work. So then they can bring that information to you and see what works, what's available, and provide you with a guide that we actually have that has a lot of this info in it. Some additional services. So I wanted to stress this in here, right? So I know that Jesse talked about the first-time home buyers and like students and student loans being one of the barriers, and credit card debt as well. So working with our counselors, they've taken so many courses on like student loans and how to work on modifications of student loans. There's services like that available, right, guys? You don't really have to pay for these services because agencies like us exist, HUD-approved agencies that have informed people who are willing to provide you with this information for free, right? So we don't charge for the financial coaching. The only fee that there is for the workshop, right? So that's kind of your entry point, and then you have the 24 months access to your coach. Some of the other services, because I think it's important to get this out there, is our organization does provide free foreclosure and rental counseling, and that consists of really reviewing somebody's finances, assisting them with communicating to their servicer or lender, and then also helping them with renegotiating their rent with their landlord, right? So trying to create budgets that work for them and making sure that they're staying on top of their credit. The final service that the Housing Partnership offers is affordable housing administration. And we actually offer monthly workshops on how to find affordable or Mount Laurel units, how to place yourself on the list, where are they, and what are some of the requirements. These workshops, you can find that information on our website or our Facebook page. The most important thing that you can do right now, right, is visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, and honestly, our social media channel is where we try to get the information out to you as soon as we get the information. So as soon as that portal opened up for rental assistance, we had it up probably 24 hours before it was even open. Make sure you visit this, place your name on the list. Here's the information. And we really try to get you the information that you need on our social media. And again, our goal here is really to provide information that empowers you, that actually gives light, gives the light off that says, hey, I can do this, and encourages you to actually take action on those goals that sometimes seem impossible. So everybody who works at the Housing Partnership is passionate about this work. And our main mission is to make sure that if you're thinking about homeownership, that you educate yourself on the process and that you have somebody there that can coach you along. So participants, again, I'll give you guys the discount code. I'll put it in the chat or I'll email it to everybody. But our website, I wanted to try that cool trick that Jesse did. I don't know if it's going to work. Does it take you to our website? Do you guys see it? Did that
Jesse,
work?
what is it that you have to press in order to get to the other screen?
I got it. I'll just do it the old school way. Here's our website. Can you
There
guys
you
see
go.
that?
Yes.
Awesome. And the reason why I share our website, and I think it's important, is because there are other organizations called Housing Partnership, but they're not us. So this is what our website looks like. And we have information about our programs. Our affordable homeownership program is right here. And then if you want to place yourself on our interested parties list for those properties, that's here as well. But everything, again, is online at this point. But we are available Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 5 p.m. And our staff does really get back to you. So we're here, we're answering the phones, and we are here to help you with any other things that you might have questions with. So I think that was the last slide that I had. Let me just check myself. Let's see. Yep. And then I'll email you guys the information, but here's my contact information. And I know that Cynthia also put that in the chat information. Don't hesitate to give us a call or shoot me an email. All right, guys. So I think that was as fast as I've ever talked about my organization and the work that we do. I could talk about this for hours. So
That's
hopefully
great. Thank you so much, Jessica. I loved it. That was a lot of information, and that's great that we can combine both for more Sussex and Warren. Any questions for Jessica? Please feel free to unmute. We have a question in the chat. The program you speak of that is $99, does it qualify for the credit counseling part of the mandatory part of the program?
So yes, once you complete our homebuyer education class, in order to get the certificate that Jesse referred to, you actually need to also complete the financial coaching. So something that we encourage everybody is, if you are starting this process, take the class first, because the counseling, you have to schedule it, right? So we're a small staff, and it usually, you complete the class and then you could probably get an appointment within 2 weeks with a HUD certified homeownership specialist. So you don't want to wait until the very last minute. It never fails that it happens, and it's not good practice, right? Because then our counselors might give you information that you wish you had 3 months ago.
Right, it's definitely going to help you with the home buying process, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. It's going to help a lot. But great question. Any other questions for Jessica?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
Sure.
go ahead.
Sasha?
Yes, I have a question for Jessica.
Sure.
Basically, so once we take your course, do you suggest we take the course first, basically, so that you have an idea of what you need to do before you actually start the process, versus, like you said, waiting to the last minute?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because you know what? It doesn't hurt. This is the largest purchase of anybody's life, right? People put up 2-minute videos and little snapshots. We give you the full picture. And then you get access to the HUD certified specialist that reviews your situation, kind of helps you go over how much you can really afford based on the ratios that everybody's talking about. And then your budget. You have to make a budget. They review it. We're like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. So there's a lot of ins and outs, and then there's a lot of opportunities, right? So if somebody just goes out there and buys a house and doesn't know about Jesse's program, the housing partnership, and they work with, a new real estate agent or something like that, they're not going to tell you about these. So this is, I think, why we've been doing our rounds, trying to get this info out here. Like, hey, there's money. Hey, there's people that help you and don't charge you an arm and a leg. So we're really here to make sure that homeownership is accessible to everybody, and ensuring that you take advantage of these programs that exist, and to eliminate those obstacles. I think is kind of the main mission of all of us here, is making sure that they're out there, that we're addressing the things that can hold you back, and that we're all taking actionable steps towards creating equity for everybody.
Thank you so much for that, Jessica. I just have one other point in reference to people, depending on where you work, when you were speaking in reference to attorney fees, closing fees, and things like that. I don't know, certain people may have this at their job where they have a program where X amount of money may come out of your check, but you have an attorney and you have those people to aid you with the closing costs. So I don't know if people, depending on where you work, they have those programs also, because I take advantage of that myself.
I actually just had a client who works at ShopRite. She had her closing covered by the ShopRite union, which you would never know. Like, but
Oh.
yeah, they paid for her whole closing.
Wow,
That's amazing.
great. That's amazing.
Good question. Yeah, like so we work in the marketing department in HMFA, and the hardest part for us is to market our programs, especially the down payment program. Here's free money if you qualify, and people just think we're spam and and junk mail, and we're who are these people? So our biggest thing is to say this is who we are, this is what we do. I'm sure, Jessica, you have the same thing, right? Remember us. We have
For us, it's like, you want to help us for free? Like, what's wrong with you guys?
So that's our biggest thing. Yeah. Any other questions, Susie? Did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question for Cynthia. Hi, everyone. Hi, Cynthia. My question is, if I have to take the home buyer educator program, the one that's $99, and I'm already doing a financial counseling with another program, I think it's called the Citizen Action. I'm doing the financial program with that. That won't count. I need to do the financial with you after I finish the workshop.
That's for Jessica.
Citizen Action is a HUD approved agency as well. So they should give you a certificate at the end of your 8-hour course. I don't know if they're doing virtual courses or if they started doing them in person, but they should give you a certificate when you finish.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Great, sure. Any other questions before we move on to our last speaker? No, if you think of anything, feel free to put it in the chat again, and we will have another Q&A at the end. But I would like to introduce our last speaker. We have Sital Shah, and he's with Shah Legal Law Firm. He's our attorney, and I'm going to put his information in the chat now. Good evening, Sital. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, good evening, Cynthia, Jesse, and everyone. I wish everybody a pleasant evening. I'm Sital J. Shah from Edison, New Jersey, and hopefully to talk a little bit about the contract and legal advice. The best thing in New Jersey is you have a 3-day attorney review period. So you never have to panic. You sign a contract, take a deep breath. You have 3 business days with your attorney. That means Saturday, Sunday, this Monday, Memorial Day, does not count. So if you're signing a contract on Friday night at 6 p.m., Saturday and Sunday and this particular Monday do not count. I like to call the attorney review period the agree to disagree period. That means once you sign the contract, you'll have questions. You may forget things. You may want to change a closing date. You forgot something to add. That's what attorney review is about. Sellers will do the same thing with their attorney. If the buyers agree with the seller's changes and the sellers agree with the buyer's changes and you both sign off, then attorney review is concluded. That's a fancy way of saying the house is yours and the contract is binding. So the best advice I can give you today is 3 things. I'll start with the first one. This isn't legal advice. If you like the house, you know the market is out of control. You know that everybody's fighting for the same house. You've seen 50 homes, 45 offers, and you're losing house after house. If you finally found something that you liked, he or she that finishes attorney review first, that means agrees to the changes on both sides agree, attorney review is concluded, it's yours. If you take a long time and keep attorney review open, you're inviting somebody to make another offer and take the home away from you. So that's important to finish quickly. In the contract, I always get asked every single day and really literally every hour, not exaggerating, how much money do I put down? $1,000 is a good faith deposit. That's standard practice. The second thing is, do you put a second deposit? Second deposit is usually 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 10 days after attorney review is done. Now, there's no textbook answer. It could be 2% down, 5, 7, 10%, 20%. Sellers always want you to put more, and buyers always shy away and want to put less. So there's no answer, but you have to come to some agreement. That money is held in an escrow account until closing. Clients often think when they give a picture of a check, people just hold the picture of a check and they feel good about it. Doesn't work that way. They deposit the check, it's held in an account. If the closing is successful, that money goes credited towards the purchase price, so that much less you have to bring. And that money gets turned over to the seller upon a successful closing. Another helpful advice, appliances. Stove is the only thing the seller has to guarantee giving you by law. There's no fundamental right to cable TV, washer, dryer, refrigerator, nothing. Take the 5 minutes, and if you find something that you like a washer, dryer, and it's newer, let's say somebody's giving you in a listing, it says brand new dishwasher or newer, I like that word. Everybody has a different definition of newer. Is it 2 months newer, 5 years newer? Take the minute to write it down. Why? Because what you see does not mean you're going to get it. It's funny, human nature is to see brand new refrigerator thinking it's yours. I've seen many times at 1972, Grandma Special comes in right before the closing. They switch the refrigerator, just says they have to give you a refrigerator. Didn't say they have to give you the brand new spanking Viking, very expensive refrigerator. So write it down, write the name brand too. Don't be shy. If it's Sears Kenmore, write Sears Kenmore washer, dryer, dishwasher. It's worth it, less argument, and it'll prevent a disappointment that you may have. Now, people often ask me, what about the inspection phase? What is that about? If I do an inspection, can I ask about a repair? Is there something that I shouldn't ask? The number one question I get asked when you do home inspections is, what can I ask for? You can ask for anything you want in life, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it. The contract generally says major repairs. Major is defined by electrical, mechanical, plumbing, HVAC units. The windows should work, no mold, radon, environmental issues. The house should be I
think we lost them. Satal, can you hear us? Let's give it a minute. It's not just my computer, right? Okay. I saw Jessica move and I said, okay. Satal, if you can hear us, we cannot hear you. You froze. Does anyone have questions at this time?
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's I don't know if I'm just trying to feel, like what I was saying before. If you see a house that you like and then you put an offer, and then they call you back and they said, oh, there are 3 people who want this house because they want you to put more money. How much can you put? Can you add 3% more or 2% more? Or it's up to you? If you cannot do anything, what can you do to get the house?
That's a hard question because we don't know your specifics. You know what I mean? We don't know how much money you have. We don't know how much you can afford. That's a great question for your counselor, though. So I know you said you were working with Citizen Action. They should help you figure out what your maximum loan amount, because then the real estate agent will come back and say, give us your highest and best, right? And your highest and best is not what they want. It's what you can afford on a monthly basis. So you need to make sure that you work with that counselor at New Jersey Citizen Action, and they'll tell you this is the maximum you can afford.
Also, are you working with a realtor?
Yes.
Okay, your realtor is supposed to help you with this also.
Can you hear me or no?
We can now, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, that's all. Thank you.
I don't know what happened. It just stopped on its own. It's crazy.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened here, but I was just talking about home inspections and talking about major repairs. Heating, air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, mold, termite. The house should be free of cracks, structural cracks. Roof should be intact. Windows should be working. No environmental concerns. The sellers have to address major repairs. If they don't, you have a right to cancel the contract. The second question I get, what if they don't do another repair that I asked for? Or what if I don't like the house? What if I change my mind? What if I attended this NJMFA seminar and I decided I have no interest in buying in Ocean County and I want to move to Bergen County, or whatever the reason is? The inspections are not based on how you feel or what your mood is like. If the seller performs the major repairs, you don't have any excuse to cancel the contract. You will then ask me, well, you seem smart enough. How do I get out of the contract? If the sellers don't perform the major repairs, we use that as an excuse to cancel. But you can't first cancel out of emotion. I don't like the house. You're going to have a battle regarding your deposit monies because the sellers have the right to address your concerns. Think about it. If they do everything you asked for, there's not really much to complain. If they perform another repair that you asked that's not major, you say, thank you. That's a Christmas gift. They didn't have to do it, and you can't use that as a basis to cancel the contract. Now, the best way to deal with inspections is they will either do the repairs, perform the repairs, give you a credit. It could be a combination. But how do you know you're being treated fairly? If your plumbing repair, you get an estimate that says $700 and the sellers are offering you $75, you know it's not fair, it's not reasonable. But if you know the estimate's $700, you settle for $550, you call it a day, it's close enough. At least you know you got enough money to at least address the problem after closing. So getting estimates from licensed contractors will support your notion. And one tip out there for people, there's two types of clients that I have. One type of client are happy-go-lucky and they make up whatever number they want to get a credit. Those clients don't seem to be as successful as my clients that I tell them to get estimates. Why? Because everybody is going to think you're making up a number and it came out of thin air. It's human nature. But when you give an estimate from a licensed contractor to the other side, it's very hard to argue that estimate because it's from a licensed contractor. They're almost hard pressed to kind of deal with it. The next thing your attorney will do is to review title work. Make sure there's no lawsuits, liens, or judgments on the property. This is not your problem. This is your attorney's problem to take care of for you. It only becomes your problem if you're hiring people or real estate attorneys or non-real estate attorneys, actually, that don't know what they're doing. The real estate has a lot of details, so you want to make sure you use real estate professionals. For example, it might be obvious to you, but if paying off a seller's mortgage, seller's water bill is very important. Those things are more tangible. You can see that. Why? Because that's a lien on the property if it's not paid. But for example, what if the seller hasn't paid their child support? You're probably thinking, well, that has nothing to do with me. I pay my bills. Why is he talking about the seller's child support? Well, the seller's child support that's in arrears is a lien on the property you're about to buy. What's more interesting is the next 12 payments of future payments that they haven't paid or she hasn't paid is still an automatic lien on your home. So title work is key. The mortgage commitment date in the contract is typically 4 weeks. 4 weeks to get a mortgage commitment. The lender says they believe in you, they review your financials, and they put in writing, I'm going to give you the funds on the day of the closing. Your attorney is like your personal bodyguard. The closing is a team-oriented approach. No one person can do it. Your attorney has to coordinate, work with multiple different personalities, and get everybody on the same page. They will work with your lender. They work with Jesse, Cynthia, your agent, home inspector, title company, lender. You got to get to the closing table. That is the goal. Your attorney, as I mentioned, is your bodyguard. Your attorney's job is to vet everybody. If somebody's taking advantage of you, that's your mouthpiece. That person has to look out for you. Everybody naturally in business will look out for themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has a motive, but motive doesn't mean a bad thing. But your attorney should make sure that you are also, everybody's following the rules, doing things the correct way. That's, I feel, is a goal of a helpful attorney. Now, make pretend we're closing tomorrow, 2 o'clock. I made it up. By today, your attorney would have called you. We just made calls to our clients right before the seminar, telling them how much money to bring for tomorrow's closing. Let's say the closing for you is 2 o'clock tomorrow. You will be meeting with your agent either today or tomorrow morning to visit the property one more time. Why do you want to do that? You want to make sure there's no damage to the property. And big leaks. What if a pipe burst? It's hot today. What if the heating, air conditioning didn't work? These things have to be addressed before closing. After closing, if you share this nugget of information with your attorney, you are the homeowner. There's not much that can be done. So if the air conditioning didn't work, you can get an estimate. The estimate might be $400. You need more Freon. Easy. Get a credit for $400. Deal with it after closing. Move on. But what if it's a big situation where the unit blew out? $3,000 to replace it. You can't close. That's in your favor. Never think of things in a negative way. It's better it broke before it closed. Delay the closing. Let it get fixed. Reschedule it. Yes, is it annoying? Yes, it is inconvenient. And yes, it's a long weekend and everybody wanted to close. I got it. But at least in the end, it'll be the right way. So please visit the property and make sure there's no damage. The last thing I was going to mention, please hang with me on this last point. Cynthia knows I always leave it for the end. But this point, I believe, is important information. And I believe somebody out there will thank me eventually. Many people send me emails much later on. Now, let's say you're buying a house. Make it up out there, wherever you are. And let's say you're making it in New Brunswick, New Jersey, or Franklin Township. You pick maybe 10 wherever you're buying a house. Let's say you signed the contract today and you had a finished basement and you are so excited with the finished basement. You made the offer. You picture yourself, I want to buy it. Half the population may determine whether that finished basement is illegal. The other half the population is happy-go-lucky, thought doesn't even occur. There's no judgment here. There's nothing bad either way. But let's assume you're in the 50% of the group that didn't inquire about whether the finished basement's legal. Now, let's say the town you're buying in, just remember one thing when you're buying a house in New Jersey. The seller always has to perform an inspection before you buy the home. The inspection in the township could be one of two. First, carbon monoxide smoke detector. The fire department comes in, checks out the smoke detectors, it passes, signs a certificate, gives it to the seller gives it to buyer. Certificate one. Certificate number two, the building department comes, visits the property, passes, signs off on the certificate, gives it to the seller gives it to the buyer. Now, if it fails, they give a list of repairs, seller makes the repairs, calls the inspector back, passes, after they re-inspect it, done. These two certificates have to be given from the seller to buyer before closing, period. Now, every town has one or both. So for example, use Google, call code enforcement in any township. For example, out there in New Brunswick, only a certificate of occupancy is required. In Edison, New Jersey, a smoke detector and a certificate of occupancy. Franklin Township, smoke detector certificate. Englewood, New Jersey, and Bergen County, only a certificate of occupancy. Everybody get the pattern? Simple. It's one or both, either or. Now, let's assume in the finished basement, the one everybody in the audience signed the contract. Let's assume your town only requires a smoke detector certification, nothing else. Now, as I said before, you didn't give it a thought whether the basement was legal. Nothing bad. Now, let's say your attorney asks the other attorney, is the basement legal? Your attorney requests this information and the seller's attorney provides a smoke detector certification. That's the only certificate the township requires. They provide it to your attorney gives it to you. Now, this is what separates everyone. Your attorney has two options. They accept the certificate, they give it to you, the matter ends. Or your attorney says, thank you, but this is not enough. I need a permit for the basement. Let's assume your attorney only accepts the certificate, says nothing else, and you move on in life. 3 years later, after you enjoyed your housewarming, you're selling your particular home. The new buyer sees the finished basement just as excited as you were when you purchased the house. The buyer, though, asks for permits, and you say, what? And you provide them with the smoke detector certification because that's what you only receive when you close. Except this buyer is much more smarter than you, and millions of people always are. and they ask for the permit. You go call the township and say, is there permits for the basement? The township says there's no permits. That means your basement was initially done not properly and not legally. Now you have to legitimize the basement by applying for permits. This can be very expensive. Sometimes the townships will require a electrical permit, plumbing permit, architectural drawings, and legal fees. These are very expensive fees out there, and they add up. It's against my interest to tell you financially or advise you how you can avoid this, because I make a very good living dealing with this problem all the time, a really good living. Now, the way to solve this problem is two ways. First, you order the Open Records Public Act search. That's the Open Records Public Act search. It's a free form. Everyone can fill it out. You don't have to be the seller. And by law, the township in 10 days has to share with you whatever information they have on the property. That does not mean that there's any information. Whatever it's there, they will share it with you. Now, let's assume the seller bragged or boasted and said, I'm going to give you a finished basement and a water heater and a brand new roof. If the township has no permits on file for any of these things, you learned today something from me in the seminar. You know that that means the seller has to get permits, permission, and inspections from the township. Why? Because after closing, these will all become your responsibility for the new buyer. If you're thinking that you've closed with these mistakes, your defense may be, well, I only bought the house like this. I didn't do anything. It was already there, the kitchen, the sheetrock, the bathroom, and the basement. That defense works in third grade. That defense will not work today. You will be forced to legitimize the basement. So first thing I would do is complete the Open Records Public Act form. It's online, or you could do it at the township, code enforcement in any town. And the last thing I would do is I would call code enforcement the old-fashioned way. You Google up their number, code enforcement, in any township, call them up and ask them one question. Are there any open permits? And listen, if there's anything open, you want to tell your attorney to have the seller's attorney close it out before closing. Why do you want to do this? When you do the Open Records Public Search Act, I've seen mistakes happen all the time. There's human error, sloppiness, but it's worth the extra phone call and calling code enforcement, because when they look it up, if they see something inconsistent or a mistake, they will say, oh, by the way, I think this is open. And that gives you clues when you do home inspections to work with your inspector. And with that information, then have a comprehensive approach during inspections. I hope this information was helpful. My name again is Sital J. Shah. We do closings in all 26 counties in New Jersey. It doesn't matter if you're listening to me from Atlantic City or Camden or Bergen County or Ocean County. We have associates and we will travel to do your closing. If you have any questions, always email me and set up a call, or call us and ask for information. We'd be happy to help. You can also, I know Cynthia shared with my information, there's Attorney Shah's Guide to Buying Your First Home in Spanish and English. That has been downloaded more than 6.4 million times off my website. It's been mentioned on HGTV. We've been on several shows, and I get a lot of good feedback on those brochures. Last thing is, if anybody wants to visit us on Instagram, it's Shah, S-H-A-H Legal. That's Shah, my last name, S-H-A-H Legal, L-E-G-A-L_COM. Please take a look at it, and you will see upcoming promotions and talking about as is and affordable housing rules and regulations. And please follow us if you're interested. Again, I want to thank everybody for listening. I wish everybody lots of good luck, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sital. Always such great information. I did not know a lot of that information when I bought my house, and thank God I didn't come across any of those issues, but it's so good to know. Thank you very much. I just want to go back to Nancy, who originally asked for Sital to repeat the major repair part. I know that's when he got cut off. Nancy, I just want to make sure you had all the information you needed. Did you understand that part? Nancy, if you're still on, feel free to unmute, or you can chat us.
Yes, I did.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then there's a Oh, Jessica, you got that question. And then Susie, we were talking earlier. I just wanted to make sure that you were all good with your questions that you had. I think that was Susie, right?
Yes, the question was, when I put an offer in the house, from what the banker told me, I cannot go above. And then my realtor called me and told me there are only 3 people left on the list. And do you have anything to add? So I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I have to add 2%, 1%, 5%. And I was stuck.
And Jessica, was that what you were saying? She should go to a housing counselor for help with that?
Yes, absolutely. They'll be able to tell you how much you can afford based on your income and your affordability and what works with your budget, right? Because you want to make sure that you're purchasing a house that you can afford, right? You don't want to get caught up in the bidding wars and then buy something you can't realistically afford. Plus, the mortgage program that you're using might have ratio restrictions. So you absolutely have to talk to your counselor about that and explain to them if you're going to apply for the New Jersey Housing Mortgage Finance Agency grant or our grant, like I mentioned, you have to make sure that you're within the ratios. So your housing counselor would be able to help you with that.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Are you good with that, Susie?
Yes.
Okay.
Susie, do you have an attorney?
Not yet. I'm still waiting if the seller will accept, will take me in between the 3 others. But I was just scared because I use all my escrow from the FSS program, that I was afraid I don't have money for. I forgot about the closing, but I did sign the forms, the offer forms. So that's why I was asking if I can apply for your program to see if they can give me a closing, the closing fund, if I can be qualified for that. And then the program I'm doing with the Citizen Action, they are just offering me financial help. I mean, to know how to do all that. But I didn't do the home buyer education program yet. And I think I have to do that before I receive my escrow. So I'm kind of, I don't know.
Susie, and you're working, I'm sorry. Susie, you're working with the Housing Authority because you keep talking about the FSS program.
Yes, I'm working with Hope.
With Hope?
Yes.
Okay. So you need to call me tomorrow, and then we need to talk about where you are and what your finances look like. Tomorrow I'll be in the office, but please give me a call. And then at least this way I can help you determine and email to your coach and kind of figure out where you are and guide you, right? Because I feel like you're 4 steps ahead of where you should be, and you're missing that whole space in between of the education, the counseling, knowing how much you can afford, finding out how much of the FSS funds you can utilize towards down payment and closing costs. So please give me a call tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you. Because what is killing me is the ratio part, because my student loan is high, and then they consider that one mortgage. I have a very good credit report, very high one, but my student loan makes my ratio, how do they call that again? The ratio thing, and it's really hard. Thank you. I will call.
Susie, do you have Jessica's phone number? It's in the chat, but I could give it again. If you're ready, I'll repeat it right now.
Yeah, is it 973-659-9222, right?
Yes.
There's an extension, Jessica?
Extension 301. And then tomorrow, I'll actually tell you, I have a few meetings tomorrow, but just try to call me after 1:30. I should be available to you tomorrow.
Oh, I'm the luckiest person. Thank you.
Teresa, you're asking how you can get a counselor or someone to help find a house or moderate income. Because, are you saying because you're in a normal house? Can you, are you able to unmute, Teresa?
Yeah, I'm here. So we got approved already from a bank, but I called today and I said this bank cannot pay for affordable house. So are you able to help me if I don't want to get it through like the affordable houses that you have it? Like, because I need the house for 3 bedrooms and they told me today I cannot get 3 bedrooms.
So I think that's a
because under
question.
the housing authority, like I called today because I was interested on one of the listing house that was on Livingston, and whoever I called, I don't want to mention his name. She said I'm not being on the list because even though if I have 2 girls, so I will be moving on 2 bedrooms, not 3 bedrooms. Are you able to help me out of this to appreciate a house? Because I needed 3 bedrooms and I got approved from the bank for like 350,000. So I'm looking if I can appreciate the house that you can help me on other procedures instead of like put me on the regulation that I cannot get the 3 bedrooms.
Absolutely. So those are the restrictions that are in place for those are the restrictions that are in place for like affordable housing is the number of people, the genders, the bedroom sizes is based on that information. If that doesn't work for you in your household, again, our organization helps people purchase regular market rate properties, right? So if you're saying that you got a pre-approval for up to 300, that's great because then you can buy a regular market rate property. You may be eligible for my down payment assistance and Jesse's program. So you need to take the home buyer education class, meet with one of the financial coaches, and then they'll be able to really help you determine what your options are. Especially if you're in Morris, Sussex, or Warren. Jesse also talked about like USDA programs. Those are available to you as well.
Sorry, Teresa, it sounds like you have some background noise. I don't know if you have 2 devices on, so I keep muting you when Jessica's talking. But did you get everything that you needed, Teresa? Do you understand all of that and know where you can find a counselor?
And I wanted to say to Teresa that, hi, Teresa, I was in the same situation. I also have 2 boys. I made that call. They told me about the same house, that because I have 2 boys, they cannot give me 3 rooms, even though one of them is already more than 18 years old and the other one is 14. I cannot have 3 bedrooms. The same situation happens to me. There's nothing you can do about that.
The only instance where we sometimes we have 2 bedrooms that we can't fill. The only instance where a single person would get a 2 bedroom is if nobody on the 2 bedroom list takes it. At least that's the way it works for affordable housing and Mount Laurel units. And if you guys want to learn more about that, again, we offer a workshop probably twice a month, one during the day and one in the evening, where we go over all of this information just to kind of give people the reasoning behind these laws that are in place, right? So we just have to follow what they say, but
Right. Thank you, Jessica. Teresa, I can't tell if you're talking. I had to mute you before because we had background noise. If you want to unmute.
So I have a question. Now, if I want to attend the school, can I just attend these classes and when I'm done, I have to speak to someone, or once I will start it, I can speak with someone?
if that's to me, towards the housing partnership, you have to take the home buyer education class, finish it, and then when you're done, you set up your appointment because there's an intake form that you need to fill out.
Okay, great. I don't mind. I will take this class tonight.
I put the discount code in there just in case anybody was like super motivated to do it tonight. It's capital H, capital P 35, and that gives you $35 off of the workshop. So if you visit our website, you click on programs, home buyer, and then it'll take you right to our eHome site. So that's one way to start. But again, you have to finish the class, then you go into the financial coaching. And there, now that we know about this program, the down payment assistance, we'll be able to say, this is how much you make, this is how much your budget says you can afford with all those other expenses that you have. This is how much a bank might qualify you for. Does it work with your budget? And then here are some of the resources that you might be able to take advantage of. So we have a list of banks. We have banks that specifically work with Jesse and his team, and it's listed on our bank guide as well. And you guys would learn the entire process, right, from beginning to end. So they talk about credit, they talk about budget, they talk about mortgages, all the mortgages that are very generic information, and it's available in English and Spanish as well.
Jessica, how long is the discount good for?
That discount is good for a year. And so is, again, so if you take our class, you have 2 years of financial coaching. So you would have access to your coach for up to 2 years. Our clients typically buy within 18 months. It might be a little longer these days because the market is very limited with homes that are affordable.
Gotcha. Thank you. Teresa, did you have another question?
No, I'm fine. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Where I can find the discount? Can I go just for the website and I will find the discount?
We have it in the chat. It's, I'll say it again. It's H as in Harry, P as in Peter, 35. And there we go. Thank you. And then I don't think I have any more questions in the chat. Do we have any questions for Sital, Jesse, Jessica? Any questions for any of our speakers today before we start to wrap up?
I just want to say thank you to NJHMFA for bringing this product out to the community, because I think sometimes people don't realize how valuable it is, right? The $10,000, especially the fact that you can use it towards closing costs, is amazing, because there's a lot of down payment programs, but then people never take into consideration that other use. So thank you so much for putting this together and having the housing partnership here as a presenter.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Sital. I just want to reiterate in the chat, if you want to take a look, and you'll also get an email tomorrow. I did put the link to our YouTube channel, and that's where the recording of this webinar and other webinars will be stored. So you can always watch again if you need to. And then also on our website, I put a link in the chat that shows all our, upcoming webinars that we have. If you want to log into and register for another one, we have them until mid-June. Or if you know of someone that wants to join, please feel free to let them know to register. But with that, I thank everyone for coming on. I appreciate you being here today. And if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. You have all our information, or you can just respond to the email that you'll be getting tomorrow and we can get your questions answered. But thank you, Sital, Jesse, Jessica. Thanks for everyone for being here, and have a great night.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thanks,
Bye,
Jessica.
guys.
Thank you. I
Take care.
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It's good.
Here, and
You're welcome.
the YouTube link, we'll be able to share that on our page, right? On the housing partnership page.
Yeah, I don't see why not. If there's some reason why you can't share it, let me know.